This is the Urantia book. It's a spiritual revelation given to this world, and it's written by advanced celestial beings. I know that may seem like it's hard to grasp for many people, but the first thing I would say about that is ask yourself if you truly know that it is entirely impossible for an advanced being in the universe to give a revelation of truth to a planet. If you know that that's impossible, I'm not sure how you could know that, because we haven't figured it out yet. That's not a reason to completely discount something. Remain open-minded about something like that, and then investigate. And as you investigate with an open mind, you'll see the caliber of wisdom that comes through in these nearly 2,100 pages of all different types of topics, from the history of this planet to the evolution of civilization to the evolution of animals into man, and then men into spiritual beings, and so forth. It's profound. It's uplifting. It's perfect. It truly is a divine revelation, and I recommend everybody take a glance at this book. If you're just approaching this book, I know everybody says, well, how could it get to the planet? And they're still stuck on that idea of the hows and whys and trying to confirm or validate their previous worldview or something. The only thing that I can say was that it was channeled by humans, and they penned the words between the dates of 1930 and 1955, somewhere in that time period. It took about 20 years for this to unfold. But they were getting these advanced messages, and they were instructed to write them all down. And it took a while to get every single word and syllable exactly as it was supposed to be. And here it is. Here it is. It's an absolute masterpiece. Even if you don't believe that, then reading this book will still be beneficial, as it is just an absolute masterpiece. Okay? Now, it's broken up into 4 parts. Part 1 is the central and super universes. I'm not going to go into them, but we will read this book in future videos. But since this is a brief introduction, these were universes created in perfection. The local universes are evolving. And they are assembled in the ways that our science tells us, with nebula, star nurseries, and all of these colliding bodies of space and planets. And then when a planet becomes ready, when it becomes favorable, a protoplasm, basically a single-celled kind of organism, is implanted onto that planet, and thus begins the evolutionary process. So already you can see it differs from man's Bible in the way that it explains something which we know to be a scientific fact, which is evolution, and it synthesizes that with a spiritual understanding, because it is the divine who put evolution into place. It's not an accident in the universe. There is a conscious intelligence behind evolution. The other parts of this, the next part is local universe. Okay, so that's about, they say that there's 7 super universes, and within each super universe is 1,000 local universes. Each local universe is projected to contain roughly 10 million inhabited worlds. Okay, so 7,000 local universes, 10 million inhabited worlds. The scale just blows your mind. And that's very congruent with what we understand about the scale of the universe. Mind-boggling. But they're all inhabited, and they're teeming with life, and they're organized. And the beings have free will, whether they want to choose to be a part of the divine plan or not. And with that choice comes either the reward or the inevitable cessation of existence, because without spirit, you can't live, right? We know the mind doesn't live after death, and we know the body doesn't. But it's synthesized and brought along with the spirit. So this is just a very uplifting book without being flighty, without having any sort of rituals or dogmas. This is not a religion. It teaches that religion is personal and individual. It is about unity and not uniformity. It is also not to be crystallized because it teaches that truth is living and revelation, which this is never definitive. So, as time goes on, as we continue to grow and evolve, truth grows and evolves because it is a living thing. Unlike in the religions of man, which are crystallized and they're not being added to and they're not being amended as we learn new things. This is a revelation for this juncture in time because our planet is wayward. This is not the way that planets normally progress, even though it's not a surprise to the divine, because it teaches that whenever you create imperfect free will beings, you should expect inevitable disasters and difficulties, and that's what we have here. It goes into why the plan went wrong here and why we rebelled. This started thousands and thousands of years ago, and why we experience so much injustice and backwardness in this planet. But it puts it into perspective that makes you breathe a sigh of relief about that it's really just mundane, all the things that are going on here, and it can be transcended spiritually. So it's uplifting and explains those origins, the history, and the destiny of us. It contains the purpose of meaning of life, but it's clear to point out that that is unique and individual to you in your relationship with God, the divine, not a book of shoulds a book of should nots. It's more like a book of do ascend. So then this part, the life and teachings of Jesus, part 4. Now, this is important to state because I was somebody who rejected Jesus early on after seeing some of the hypocrisies in Christianity, and I just threw it all out. And so I came to this with a little bit of a weary, I don't know about that. After reading this, the brilliance of this being, just the love and the matchless mercy, just the confidence and the sublime faith, it's really astounding. Now, the good part about this teaching of Jesus is that it was written by, the basis of the narrative was supplied by a secondary midwayer who was a one-time assigned to the superhuman watch care of the Apostle Andrew. A midwayer is one step below an angel on this evolutionary scale from, not evolutionary, this ladder of personalities from the lowliest personality in the universe, which humans, up to the divine personality. And as we grow and ascend, we gain more of that divine personality. So we have the potential to become much more than just human, but right now we're starting on the lowest rung of the ladder here. But it is an evolutionary concept of a local universe. Like I said, these were created in perfection, but this is about evolving these animal origin beings up to the level of gods. And the whole universe is astir with this. All of these angelic helpers, these different groups and cores. And so imagine reading the teachings of Jesus by a being who was there during the whole entire time. They give specific dates of when they traveled and what they did and what they said. I mean, you're getting the most exact representation of this. So if you are somebody who does enjoy reading the Bible and reading the life and teachings from the Bible, then you're going to love this. There's a lot of congruencies with all of man's religions: Buddhism, Hinduism, with Judaism, with Christianity. They're in there, but this does a great job of stripping away the dogmas and getting to that essence of that seed of truth, which is really the important thing. And that seed of truth, if you were to boil this book down into one thing, it is that you're indwelt by the divine, a living fragment of God, and having faith in God is enough to bring you to the next world and life after this one. So faith is one of the primary motives. And not only that, but we advance in that progression through personal choice. So it's not just that faith is good and then you're going to get into heaven, unlike man's teachings or the Bible's teachings. It is that faith grants you the next ascension, okay? And then you'll learn the lessons of self-mastery and that sort of thing, and then you will get to the next ascension level, another world. Eventually, you are going to journey all the way into the central and super universe, these perfected worlds, and then further on into the Isle of Paradise. So it's this world after world, life after life thing, but they're not redoing it on the same world. There's no need for useless repetition and duplication in the universe. So the main thing that to grasp from it is faith, but also self-mastery, and that is exchanging vices for virtues. So it's not just, okay, I have the faith, now I can do whatever I want. No, you are going to begin over on the other side where you leave off here. And one of those virtues is love for your fellow humans. So that's the world-changing thing. That's what this planet needs. We do not have this currently. And this will change the world if people embrace this book to the letter. And you can. I'm somebody who is an artist, and I'm a very individualistic type of personality. And I would never want to conform to anything. I would conform to every single syllable in this book. And I would recommend everybody conform to every single syllable, because there's so much room for your personality expression. An infinite amount of room, in fact, for that. Okay? It's basically like explaining the laws of physics to somebody, but that doesn't mean that I can't do a bike trick and then do a ballet just because I know the laws of physics. It will help me in doing those things. So that's all this is. It's just a framework, but it's the living truth. That's really important, and it can't be duplicated in a book, the living truth, okay? So you could take this book and you could put it on the bookshelf and never pick it up again. And you could still have plenty of revelations, but those are auto revelations that you have by communing with your own spiritual fragment. This is an epochal revelation, which is meant for the entire planet. So it's unearned knowledge. A revelation is unearned knowledge, and it's possible to gain it on your own, but we're programmed to not be spiritual, to not go inward, to be distracted. It's very, very difficult. So the divine, in their wisdom, put it in book form here so that we could really have a much, much better grasp of where our place is, and how uplifting and benevolent and loving everything is, outside of our own personal choices to not be that, and to be rebellious towards that, or to be selfish and self-serving at the cost of our fellow humans. But it's all fits, and it's all in place, and it's all good. So I recommend this book. We are going to go into this in depth, and you can read this book for free and listen to the entire thing read on a website. I'll put a link to that website in the description. So it doesn't even cost anything. I recommend getting a nice hardcover copy of this. Not very expensive, but it's to be a lifelong study. I mean, it's another thing that I'm going to say about the Urantia book. Some of it is, here, I'll give you an example. Some of it is extremely complicated, and some of it isn't. Some of it is very able to, somebody in elementary school could understand much of it. But a lot of it is very in-depth. Do not get confused, or do not get turned off by these very in-depth passages, because since it's to be a lifelong study, there's things in here that you're going to pick up on a second read, or a third read, or a fourth, and so forth, okay? So if you don't grasp something, it's better to just leave it and to just keep on reading. Don't go back and plow through it and try to figure out and stay up and pop no-dos so that you can keep going. It's supposed to just flow. And if you don't understand it, it's going in there. It's registering on a spiritual level. It was written on purpose to be more complicated towards the beginning, and then it gets more clarified towards the end. And that in its of itself is a faith walk and a faith journey, because you're reading these very dense topics. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So for instance, like here's a great, okay. This is in the foreword. This is the type of information that's in the foreword. The absonite level of reality is characterized by things and beings without beginnings or endings, and by the transcendence of time and space. Absoniters are not created. They're eventuated. They simply are. The deity level of ultimacy connotes a function in relation to the absonite realities. No matter what part of the master universe, whenever time and space are transcended, such an absonite phenomena is an act of the ultimacy of deity. The absolute level is beginningless, endless, timeless, and spaceless. For example, on paradise, time and space are non-existent. The time-space status of paradise is absolute. The level is trinity attained existentially by the paradise deities. But this third level of unifying deity expression is not fully unified experientially. Whenever, wherever, and however the absolute level of deity functions, paradise absolute values and meanings are manifest. So you're looking at that information, that little bit. Look at how long the foreword is, okay? But the foreword is one of the most dense aspects of this entire book. And you're not going to get it. I still read it after reading it 100 times, and I still don't get a lot of it. But it becomes more clear, and like I said, it fits and it falls into place, especially as you read and learn more. So it really helps bring that faith, which may be an abstract, far-off concept, into really using it in your spirituality, into really using it to navigate through life's situations, which is what we really want. We want a book of answers that can help me. How am I going to deal with my neighbor, this whole situation with my boss at work or my job, or this X, Y, and Z just happened? These things will give you the tools that you can sear through these things just with the light of your heart. And that's an abstract way of putting it, but it's really gonna help you. And that's exactly what the Master Jesus lived, and that's why he was the living example for this planet, is because in all of these situations, I'll give another quote from, okay, here, this last paper is really important. The Faith of Jesus, it's called, okay? Here's the first thing. Jesus enjoyed a sublime and wholehearted faith in God. He experienced the ordinary ups and downs of mortal existence, but he never religiously doubted the certainty of God's watch care and guidance. So that is a beautiful paper, or beautiful sentence, because a lot of times in Christianity, I'm not trying to pick on Christianity because I know it's beautiful and there's the grains of truth, but they have taken the human Jesus away from it, and it's too much of the exalted. But that was a man that lived, that had to deal with the moral ups and downs of existence, right? Like he had to maybe deal with a money issue or some argument with some sort of thing or whatever, but he never doubted this, right? So it really helps understand that this was a man on this world, well, human and divine man, but so that's the life and teachings are very, very important and very practical. This whole last part of this book is very easily to be understood compared with some of the first things, okay? So that's pretty much all I'm going to say, and then we'll start some reading of it. And yeah, so make sure you subscribe and you'll get a lot more Urantia book information. Thanks.